Hello, it's another sunny day in England, and us Brits do get excited when it's sunny. So, had a really interesting discussion with a guy on Twitter just now, and he's very fond of hydrogen as a fuel for the future, and I've got utter respect for people who have different views than me, but I like to learn, so I thought I'd throw in a question to him. Now, his main argument was based around convenience, and he was saying that he does not want his car to dictate to him and inconvenience him by having to wait for a charge. And I posed this argument to him. So, when you have a petrol or diesel car, or hydrogen, you've got to fill up with the fuel at some point. So you've got to go to a petrol station. Now, if you commute, you don't just run in, fill up and go out in 3 minutes. All the petrol stations around here, in the morning and in the afternoon and evening, there's a queue. So you're sitting in the queue, breathing in fumes. So let's put aside the health benefits of electric cars. Let's work on purely fueling versus charging. So I said, you're actually already being inconvenienced quite dramatically because you have to find a petrol station, or diesel or hydrogen, doesn't matter. Let's just say a fueling station. You have to find a fueling station, you have to queue up, and you have to fuel up. And then you carry on with your journey. You are not able to fill up with hydrogen or diesel or petrol at home. So for long distance lorry drivers where multiple drivers share the driving, I can see a future in hydrogen. When you're doing 1,000 miles a day, there's going to be benefits to go hydrogen. But that's only when there's multiple drivers. Now, if it's just a single driver, let's take, for example, a car that does 210 miles to a charge. At absolute best scenario, that's going to be 70 miles an hour on the motorway, and that's going to be 3 hours of driving. For shorter journeys, it's going to be even longer, but let's say 3 hours. So for 3 hours of driving, after that time, you should take a break. I don't know the law on commercial drivers, I'm not one, but I'm pretty sure after 3 hours they should take a break. And that has taken a 210-mile car into the equation. The latest Teslas do 375 miles to a charge, and now with the Maxwell battery acquisition, everyone's basically predicting it's going to be well over 400 for the next generation cars. So even with a 210-mile car, after 3 hours, you've got to stop. Now, how long do you stop for? Do you stop for 5 minutes and then go back in the car and do another 210 miles? No, you need to have a break. You need to stretch your legs. You need to get something to eat for lunch. You need to have some drink. So you're realistically looking at 20 minutes minimum. If you pulled up to a supercharger version 3 in America, you could fully, do an 80% charge in I think they're down to about sort of 25-30 minutes now. In the UK, it's more like 40. But especially if you've got children in the car like we do, it's a long, a 20-minute break isn't long enough. You're going to be there for longer. I know business people who spend all day long in the car. They do some emails, they catch up on work whilst they're waiting for a charge. But for most people, you sit down, you have some lunch, and by the time the car is finished, you're still busy and you're rushing back to the car to move it off the charger and let someone else charge. So this isn't a convenience. This is also taken into account that you're doing 210 or more miles in a day, which for the vast majority of people, that isn't the case. They're doing 25 or so miles a day. Even if you've got a round trip of 50 miles each way, personally, I wouldn't want to commute more than 50 miles each day. You can do that without having to charge. So when do you charge? You charge when you're sleeping. You charge overnight. If you are really clever, you get something like an Octopus Go or Agile account, and your energy cost at night is really cheap, like 5p a unit or something like that. Sometimes it even goes negative because overnight there's a lot of spare electricity in the grid. So who's being inconvenienced here more? Personally, I would rather have a battery electric car. There's loads of other benefits, but on a purely selfish convenience factor, if you drive an electric car, you charge up overnight and you could do your 200 miles in a day. You buy the car based on the range you need in a day, then you charge up overnight. It's very straightforward. We now have 2 electric cars. We in theory, could charge both at the same time, but we don't. And we don't need to, because most of the time it's fine. So anyway, hope you're having a lovely day. Have a little think about that. It's often not as simple. It's actually simpler, electric car vehicle. Okay, see you soon. Bye.